Blindness cuts us off from things, but deafness cuts us off from people. Most people do not walk into an audiology clinic recognizing they have a medical issue. They come in insisting that everyone around them has suddenly started mumbling. When you start missing parts of words, your brain has to guess the rest based on context. Doing that for every single sentence requires an enormous amount of continuous mental processing. It creates a physical drain known as listening fatigue. By the evening, that constant straining leaves you entirely depleted. The inevitable result is a slow withdrawal, pulling away from noisy restaurants, family dinners, and eventually the conversations that matter most. Patients often enter a bargaining phase, trying to solve the problem by sitting closer to the TV or turning the volume up a few more notches, rather than addressing the underlying physical failure. Clinical intervention rescues your cognitive bandwidth and stops the slide into permanent social isolation. This chart shows pitch across the top and loudness down the side. Mild hearing loss begins below 25 decibels. Deep rumbles live on the left, high-pitched sounds like birds on the right. Hearing degrades unevenly, stripping away upper frequencies first, leaving lower frequencies intact. That high-pitched zone is exactly where the sharp consonants of human speech reside, the T's, the S's, the K's. It is also where your smoke alarms and vehicle indicator clicks operate. Because you can still hear deep vowels and low-frequency background rumbles, it is incredibly easy to trick yourself into thinking your ears work perfectly when you are sitting alone in a quiet room. Move into a busy environment and the illusion breaks. Those missing high-frequency consonants make it impossible to separate speech from the low-frequency noise of clattering plates and traffic. If you are waiting for all volume to disappear before getting a test, you have already spent years missing the exact frequencies required for speech comprehension and personal safety. Your inner ear relies on thousands of microscopic hair cells. When they get damaged, they stop sending electrical input to the brain. To compensate for the sudden silence, the brain attempts a dangerous workaround. It amplifies its own internal noise. This is why auditory degradation so frequently travels alongside tinnitus, a phantom ringing, hissing, or buzzing sound that never shuts off. That persistent internal noise competes with the faint external sounds you're already struggling to hear, which scrambles speech comprehension further and triggers severe daily anxiety. The long-term physical toll is measurable. Without regular sound to process, the hearing centers of your brain go dormant, and the unused cortical regions actually begin to shrink. This graph maps cognitive decline against untreated auditory deprivation. A neurological study proved even mild hearing loss doubles your risk of dementia. Moderate loss triples that risk, while severe loss leaves you facing 5 times the likelihood of cognitive decline. Saving money today by avoiding hearing aids is a direct trade-off for a massively accelerated risk of cognitive decline tomorrow. Marketing suggests a hearing aid works exactly like a pair of prescription glasses. You put them on, and the world snaps instantly into crisp focus. Biologically, that is impossible. Your brain has spent years forgetting how to process sharp, high-frequency data. Turning a device on for the first time floods your system with an overwhelming metallic wall of sound. A brain scan taken right before a fitting shows the damage. Cortical thickness, activity, and neural connectivity are all operating at a severely reduced capacity. To reverse the shrinkage, you must force neuroplasticity by wearing the devices at least 5 hours a day for months. Over that period, the auditory cortex physically rebuilds itself. Speech regions reconnect, and listening slowly stops feeling like an exhausting effort. If you buy a device, wear it for 2 weeks, decide it is too loud, and throw it in a drawer, you are abandoning the process right before the brain plasticity successfully triggers. This 6-month adjustment period is a mandatory neurological rehabilitation phase required to reclaim your cognitive health. Once you decide to endure the rehab, the physical hardware you choose depends entirely on the severity of your loss and the environments you navigate daily. For severe cases, the behind-the-ear or BTE style is standard. It packs a powerful amplifier behind the ear and pushes the audio through a clear acoustic tube. But the most popular modern design is the receiver in canal. It uses a much slimmer case connected by a hair-thin wire to a tiny speaker sitting deep inside the ear canal, yielding a highly natural sound profile. This chart breaks down the major manufacturers. The hardware specs are incredibly similar across the board. What you are actually buying is the operating system. If your life requires navigating loud, chaotic environments, Phonak's aggressive noise filtering software performs exceptionally well. If you spend your time in quiet spaces or value musical fidelity, Widex or Oticon prioritize a much more natural, unfiltered auditory stream. There are hardware trade-offs too. If you prioritize the absolute smallest physical footprint and seamless connection to public Auracast broadcast systems, Resound optimizes for that utility. A universally perfect device does not exist. Success depends entirely on matching the software's acoustic philosophy to your specific lifestyle and dexterity. If you regularly ask people to repeat themselves, or if family gatherings leave you completely drained, your immediate next step is booking a baseline clinical test. This appointment establishes an objective map of your auditory thresholds, providing the data you need to stop guessing about what you are missing. Find a practice with clinicians registered under professional bodies like the HCPC or BSHHA. This ensures you receive a medical evaluation rather than a retail sales pitch. Acting early while your deficit is still in the mild zone gives your brain the easiest path to adaptation. It is also the only way to ensure you qualify for the smallest, most discrete form factors. Biological degradation is inevitable, but allowing that degradation to isolate you from the people you love is a choice.